I hate a traitor and a turncoat, don't you guys? I really, really hate them. And just like any other movie genre, horror movies have seen more than their fair share of Judas Iscariot types over the years, both male and female. So, in this video, guys, I'm going to list 10 of the worst horror movie traitors and turncoats I've ever seen. Now, before I start, I should mention that these selections are in no particular order. I've just basically listed 10 random slime balls, and I've especially made my skin crawl and my blood boil by their treacherous, duplicitous actions. But before I start the list of 10 worst horror movie traitors, guys, I'd just like to give 3 honorary mentions to a few treacherous characters that didn't quite make the list. As the movies they appeared in were not, well, they're not really strictly horror, and they're basically just bubbling under the 10. Okay, so honorary mention number 1 is Jesse Flanagan from Along Came a Spider. Played brilliantly by Monica Potter, Jesse cons both her partner Alex Cross and everybody close into thinking that she is a reliable and committed secret agent who becomes deeply concerned for the safety of the president's 12-year-old daughter who has been kidnapped by the girl's teacher. However, in a stunning plot twist, she shows her turncoat's true colours later on in the movie when she reveals herself to be the evil mastermind behind the kidnapping. So that is honorary mention number 1, Jesse Flanagan from Along Came a Spider. Honorary mention number 2 is Lieutenant Neil Briggs from the 1973 Dirty Harry sequel Magnum Force. Played superbly by Hal Holbrook, Lieutenant Briggs is the main antagonist of this movie. Basically, he's Harry's corrupt boss and the leader of the death squad. Now, in the climax of the movie, Briggs suddenly turns on Harry whilst they're driving together in a car, pulling a gun out and threatening Callahan with prosecution, for the murders of the 3 policemen. Now, Briggs reveals that he is in fact the ringleader of the vigilantes, which is a shock since for most of the movie it conveyed the impression that he was actually against all violence. So there you go, guys. That's honorary mention number 2 of movie traitors, and that is Lieutenant Neil Briggs from the 1973 Dirty Harry sequel Magnum Force. My third and final honorary mention is Payson Flanders from the 1992 psychological thriller The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Played brilliantly by Rebecca De Mornay, Payson Flanders initially conveys the impression of being the perfect nanny, but in fact proves to be the ultimate nanny from hell. Gaining the confidence of the married couple whose 2 children she's come to look after, Payson soon reveals herself to be a cold, calculating killer, stopping at absolutely nothing in her warped efforts to gain not only a family of her own after losing both a husband and a baby, but also to exact a bitter vengeance on the woman who she holds responsible for her husband's suicide, that being the 2 children's mother. So there you go, guys. That's my third and final honorary mention of movie traitors. That's Payson Flanders from The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Okay then, guys, honorary mentions out of the way, and without further ado, I'm going to start now with my worst horror movie traitor, number 10. Number 10 on my list of horror movie traitors is Robert Russ, the necktie serial killer from Alfred Hitchcock's 1972 classic movie Frenzy. Now, played brilliantly by the late great Barry Foster, Russ is a traitor of the worst variety. For not only is he a murderous psychopath, but he is also a veritable chameleon socially, 1 minute playing the apparently genial, ever helpful market trader to his friend Richard Blaney, and the next betraying him to the police with a view to pinning the murders on him. Now, the mask slips again and again with this absolutely psychotic guy. It really does, revealing him to be anything but the avuncular friend you can seriously tell your troubles to. So there you go, guys. That's number 10 on my list, and that is the serial killer Robert Russ from Frenzy. Number 9 on my list is Robert Heller from the 1972 Hammer thriller Fear in the Night. Played by Hammer favourite Ralph Bates, Heller is secretly a cold, uncaring, manipulative husband who initially comes across as a loving, caring spouse to his highly strung wife Peggy, played by Judy Geeson. However, Heller he soon shows his true colours as he wickedly coaxes her into murdering the schoolmaster, played by Peter Cushing, in the hope that she'll be nabbed by the police and arrested, leaving him free basically to pursue his discreet love affair with Paramour Molly, played by Joan Collins. So there you go, guys. That's number 9 on my list, and that is Robert Heller from Fear in the Night. Number 8 on my list is Marquis de Sade from The House of Whipcord, the Peter Walker exploitation horror from 1974. Played by Robert Tayman, de Sade is another shallow slimeball of the worst variety, weighing his superficial charms on naive French model Anne-Marie de Venesse, played by Penny Irving. Basically with a view to enticing her back to what she thinks is a place of solace to help her get over a dispute excuse me, with a photographer boyfriend. However, the so-called place of solace turns out to be anything but it turns out to be a young girl's seedy underground establishment for moral correction, headed by Mark's sadistic mother, ex-reformed school matron Margaret, played by Barbara Markham. And now we see Mark for what he really is, a procurer of young girls for moral sadistic punishments. The brilliant Sheila Keith adds to the sheer horror and torment of this hellhole prison, playing a cold, malevolent, sadistic warder. Blimey, talk about what's in a name. Mark de Sade by name and de Sade by nature. So there you go, guys. That's number 8 on my list of horror movie traitors, and that is Marquis de Sade from The House of Whipcord. Brilliant movie by Peter Walker. Number 7 on my list is Dr. Theodore Boomer from Universal's 1942 horror classic The Ghost of Frankenstein, which was a sequel to Son of Frankenstein. Now, played by Universal regular Lionel Atwill, Boomer is the medical assistant from hell that every good doctor should avoid. And it's a great pity that Dr. Ludwig Frankenstein, played by Sir Cedric Hardwicke, Dr. Frankenstein's son in this sequel to The Son of Frankenstein, didn't think to avoid the slimy, scheming Boomer too. But if he had, he would have been spared the shocking spectacle at the end of the movie of seeing that Boomer had betrayed him by going against his wishes and transporting evil Igor's brain into the Frankenstein monster's body instead of the brain of the more good-living Dr. Kettering. Now, in his utter outrage at Boomer's dirty trick, Ludwig explains, "I created 100 times the monster that my father made." And who could blame dear old Ludwig for uttering these stunned words? The brain of a devious old shepherd combined with the body of a huge lumbering Bruce whose mother is lightning is never a good mix. So there you go, guys. That's number 7 on my list of horror movie traitors, and that is Dr. Theodore Boomer from The Ghost of Frankenstein. Number 6 on my list is Uncle Alexander York from the 1976 British supernatural thriller Satan's Slave. Played superbly by Michael Gough, York conveys the impression of being the kind, caring uncle as he takes in his traumatised niece after she survived a horrific car accident in which both her parents were burned alive. But all that false uncle love soon melts away to reveal York as a true evil character he really is, a satanic necromancer who intends to sacrifice his unwitting niece to the devil. So there you go, guys. That's number 6 on my list of horror movie traitors, and that is Uncle Alexander York from Satan's Slave. Number 5 on my list is Estelle Montserrat from the 1967 Boris Karloff sci-fi horror The Sorcerers. Played by Catherine Lacey, Estelle is the worst kind of elderly spouse an inoffensive old man could ever have, believe me. Motivated by greed and an uncontrollable desire to take control of a young man whom he assigned his husband, Dr. Marcus Montserrat, played brilliantly by the late great Boris Karloff, psychological controls and manipulates through a mind control machine he's invented. Estelle coldly and treacherously shoves her protesting husband aside and goes it alone as she plays on the machine like an overgrown schoolgirl on Christmas morning, driving the object of her control, poor Ian Ogilvy, to commit increasingly evil acts, even murder. So there you go, guys. That's number 5 on my list, and that is Estelle Montserrat from The Sorcerers. Brilliant movie, one of Boris Karloff's best in my opinion. Number 4 on my list is Alan Hines from The Return of the Fly, the 1959 sequel to The Fly, played by David Frankham. Now, Hines starts off the movie superficially buddying up to Philippe Delombre, the now adult son of the character in The Fly, you know, played by David Hedison. And as the latter continues his ill-fated father's work of teleporter experimenting, but we soon see that Hines turns out to be nothing more than, you know, a cold calculating slime ball, to be perfectly blunt. He slyly tries to steal the work of Delombre, and in so doing causes another fatal teleporter accident that swaps heads with a man and a fly. So there you go, guys. That's number 4 on my list, and that is Alan Hines from Return of the Fly. Number 3 on my list is Vasek from the 1943 Universal horror movie Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Played by Rex Evans, Vasek is an old, seemingly forever grumpy and bitter innkeeper who seems to have taken an innocent dislike to poor Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman, and hatches a cold, calculating plan to destroy the dam overlooking the Frankenstein estate and drown all the people within. Now, the Burgomaster dismisses the idea, as nothing but a drunken notion. But like most underhanded people, Vasek is determined and puts his devious, deadly plan into action with little concern for the lives of the current inhabitants of his targeted building, monsters or otherwise. Vasek is a total disgrace to the whole village, and definitely a man that you could never trust handling your water supply. Sorry, couldn't resist that, guys. So there you go, guys. Number 3 on my list, and that is Vasek from the 1943 sequel to The Wolfman, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. One of my all-time favourite horror movies. Fantastic movie. Number 2 on my list is Pele, the main antagonist of the 2019 folk horror film Midsummer. He is from Hallandskrad, Sweden, and is a member of the Haga. He was portrayed by Wilhelm Blomgren. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, Pele is a far cry from his much revered namesake, the great footballer Pele, because he is nothing more than a scheming, slimy turd disguised as all sunny sweetness and light. On the pretext of getting away, from us all to a seemingly peaceful and harmonious resort would be the ideal thing for his friends. Pele lures them to Hagar so that they can be used in the festival's rituals of mating and sacrifice. So there you go, guys. That's number 2 on my list of horror movie traitors, and that is Pele from Midsummer. Well, finally, guys, we've come to the number 1 on my list of worst horror movie traitors, and that is Guy Woodhouse from the 1968 occult horror movie Rosemary's Baby. A struggling actor trying to find work, Woodhouse, played by John Cassavetes, soon shows that he's anything but a loving, caring husband, helping his wife Rosemary through her pregnancy, as he becomes one big slimy worm that turns as he goes on to sell it to the devil in return for a successful career. He pathetically and foolishly condemns himself, his wife, and the whole universe in exchange for, well, basically it's just a few years of success. Definitely one of the most despicable and loathsome traitors in horror movie history. That is the final 1 of the 10 horror movie traitors on my list, and that is Guy Woodhouse from Rosemary's Baby. Is an absolute B. So there you go, guys. That's my list of the 10 worst traitors in horror movie history. Do you have a list of horror movie traitors you'd like to talk about? Well, if you do, please list them down below. I'd love to hear, your choices. And do you agree with the characters I picked in the video? Again, leave a comments down below. Yeah. Okay then, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video of my 10 worst horror movie traitors. I might actually do another one sometime in the future of 10 worst traitors in ordinary movies. So watch this space. Okay, guys. That's it. The usual. If you like the video, please feel free to share, subscribe, comment, and all going well, I'll be back again very, very soon with another video. Take care. Bye for now, and be good.